Hi, everybody. Laura Miller with HealthNet. I'm cooking in the kitchen today. This is a recipe called fried zucchini, and it's an appetizer or can be used as a side dish as well. And it's healthier because I'm actually not frying the zucchini. I'm going to be putting the wedges of zucchini, like zucchini fries, fried zucchini fries. I'm going to be putting this in the oven. I imagine you could probably do this in the air fryer if you had one of those, but I'm just going to follow along with the recipe. Well, I'm sort of following along with the recipe as much as I can. Cute picture here in the front. This is actually a Weight Watchers recipe. And so what I did was I took one medium-sized zucchini and I sliced it up best I could in half and then long side as well, and tried to make these cute little triangle shapes. But I did the best I could, about 3 inches in length of your fresh zucchini. And then I put together in a bowl. This is 1.5 tablespoons of flour. And then it asked for Italian seasoning. Well, I didn't have Italian seasoning. I don't know why I seem to do recipes on video that when I don't actually have all the ingredients and that I've never done before. So here we go. So I improvised. There's some garlic powder in here. There's some paprika. I did have a seasoning of pepper and garlic together. If you're watching your salt, you may want to use something like a Mrs. Dash. So I sort of followed the recipe. So it said a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. So I made up my own. I actually had some seasoning from Red Robin for the French fries. So I put a little bit of that in there too. If you wanted to spice it up, maybe you could put some cayenne pepper in there, some red pepper if you would like to do that. Some salt went in there. And then in this other dish, I have panko crumbs. So these are plain. Panko crumbs are a Japanese breadcrumb. And then the recipe asked for a tablespoon of oil in here as well, so that the panko crumbs would kind of adhere to each other. So I did that. I didn't exactly measure the panko crumbs. Well, I did, but then at the bottom of my panko crumb box, I had just a little bit left over. So I just threw the whole thing in. And because of that, I did end up having to add a little bit more olive oil to it to make sure that the crumbs would stick together. So olive oil, of course, is a fat, but it's a heart healthier fat versus if you were like use melted butter or something in here. Okay, so they stuck together. And then as you can see on my baking sheet, I did a few. Oh, and then 2 egg whites. I actually had to use a hand mixer. That's something a kitchen item I don't use very often, but I managed to do it well. And so 2 egg whites beat with the on medium until soft peaks were created. So I've been using mine already, and so that kind of looks like clouds to me. So basically, what you do is you take, they said, a couple pieces at a time. You put it into the flour seasoning mixture. This is super great if you have young kids and want to get messy in the kitchen. This is nice and messy. So I put it in the flour mixture and then I dipped it into the egg whites, which actually look like clouds. This is probably a meringue or something like that. But I don't really know. I've never made a meringue before. So it kind of looks like that to me. So you're trying to get these fluffy clouds to stick, your egg white to stick to your zucchini piece. And then you put it in the panko and oil mixture and you kind of just push it down so that it adheres to it and makes it really cute. All right. And then that goes onto your dish like that. And so let me just do one more piece for you. And then I'm going to wash my hands and get this into my oven. The oven is preheating at 425. That's going to give it a nice crisp, nice warm oven. It's going to give it a crisp. And then the recipe said about halfway through, I'm supposed to turn these guys. All right. So here's my, okay, yeah. All right, zucchini piece in the egg white, which looks like clouds. And then I'm going to just push it down. That's a culinary term. Push it down into this so the crumbs will adhere to it. All right, so, okay. That's about all I'm going to do for right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and put them in the oven. So let me just quickly wash my hands so I can hit the pause button on this, on my Zoom. So I'll be right back after these are in the oven cooking. All right, I'm back. I put them on a really nice dish because a nice plate, because eating is a full sensory experience. So not only does the food look appetizing, just the way you put it on a nice plate looks good too. Anyway, a couple things I forgot to tell you. One was on your baking dish, your cookie sheet, you need to put some parchment paper before you put your zucchini on there. So you may have seen that as I was doing the cookie sheet, the parchment paper was on. The other thing is right before you put it into the oven, you're supposed to spray them a little light spray of some cooking oil. I think that's to help it look like it's brown, which it did, help it to brown, which it did. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. I just did a light spray, and then I did bake it for 12 minutes, but I timed it for 6, and then I turned them over. So they do have a nice crust on them, crunchy. They do look like they are fried. They've got a nice golden brown to them as